I was on stream the other day and I had this really in-depth conversation with one of my viewers about small PCs. Like very small PCs. PCs that you can pick up and go to a friend's house with and play on their extra TV or monitor. After that, we talked about VR and how you could take VR with you on the go with the performance of a desktop but the portability of a laptop. All this got me thinking. So I looked around and I came up with this. The Titan 250D. The most important thing in this build is definitely going to be the case. Obviously the case is what everything is going in, and it has to be small. So small it can be put in a backpack and walk down the street, or put in a car and driven around, or whatever. So we ended up with the Corsair 250D Mini-ITX tower case. Now you can see where the name of the build comes from. This thing is small, obviously, and it's also made by Corsair, so you know you're going to get some quality with this case. Made with some nice fan slots and a nice layout, which is very important for the size of the case. It's a great chassis, and it comes in at around 80 bucks. Next up, let's look at the motherboard. Now, this is a no compromises build, so we went with a very high-end motherboard and picked the Asus Maximus 7 Impact in the LGA 1151 socket and the Z97 chipset. This thing, like I said, is a no compromises board, supporting a maximum of 16 gigabytes of all types of DDR3 RAM. It doesn't sound crazy, but for the size, this thing is absolutely jaw-dropping. The board is honestly a technical masterpiece in my opinion. The price is a little hard to find. I saw some as high as $300, but usually they're around 230 bucks. The obvious question in any small build is storage. A regular mechanical hard drive cannot fit in these small cases, so what do? Well, you go on SSD, or two in this case. You can really go with any SSD you want, but we chose one Samsung 840 EVO 250GB and one Samsung 840 EVO 1TB. This will provide a huge place to store anything from games to movies to whatever else you want to put on your computer, and because they're SSDs, you can count on them to stay intact for a long time and be fast and reliable. Booting up your OS will be a breeze, and any games you play will load faster than ever. Both SSDs total up to around $505. RAM is always the shortest section in these builds, but I went ahead and maxed out the board with 16 gigabytes of Corsair Dominator Platinum. Why? Because I didn't want anything limiting this small system. It's meant to play every game on the go, and 16 gigabytes is some of the best RAM on the market will enable this thing to do just that. This RAM is going to run you about 180 bucks. Moving on to the CPU, I chose the i7-4790K. This was the best CPU to be on the LGA 1150 socket. Well, it wasn't the best, but it was very good. This thing has massive overclocking potential, and it runs like a charm, just base clocked. Everything you throw on this, you throw at it will run like butter on this thing. From video editing to high-res photo editing to just straight up gaming, this CPU really is a monster. And to be completely honest with you, this CPU was the best one in a long time. You know, it was really a game changer at the time of release, and it still holds up years later. This processor can really chew through anything you put it through, and it only runs you about 340 bucks. Going from processor to cooler, we went ahead and enabled the overclocking with the SwiftTech H2200 liquid cooler. Obviously, you can go ahead with the Corsair coolers, but we went with this one just because how very, very small it is, and that's definitely needed in a build like this. I don't have a whole lot of experience with water cooling, but everyone knows when you're overclocking a lot, it's definitely the way to go. And like I said, the CPU in this build is ripe for overclocking. OC the CPU and cool it down with this liquid cooler here, and you can get north of 4.5 gigahertz in this tiny little machine. The cooler will run you about 185 bucks. Let's look at the PSU for this build. So we went out and we chose the EVGA Supernova 950 watt 80 plus gold certified PSU. That's a mouthful. The biggest thing with this PSU is that it's modular, so you don't have unnecessary wires going everywhere in your build. It's a very nice power supply. The one downside is that it does take a little bit more than expected, being a ATX PSU, but we can work with that. It is actually kind of small for an ATX PSU, but it's high quality and it's quiet, which is a very, very nice combination always. It also has a handle on the back that sticks out the backside, so you can pick up the PC and just take it anywhere. I think that's really cool. It's an awesome feature that's super easy to put on anything, any PSU or anything, so it's awesome that EVGA put this in. And it's a little bit of a callback to the GameCube, who had the same thing, so that's really awesome. And like I said, you're going to be able to pick this thing up and just run over to your friend's house or whatever. This is really cool, and it's honestly one of the best things in this build is that you can just pick it up and take it anywhere with this built-in handle. So with all that included, the PSU will run you about 180 bucks. Lastly, we get to the big boy in this build. You're not going to believe this, but I fit an EVGA GeForce GTX 1080 in here. You could put a Titan, but I think at this point a Titan is a little bit outdated, not to mention they're very hard to find. But you actually can fit a 1080 in this small space. 1080 will obviously allow you to stream and play games like The Witcher 3 at the same time, or even let you play games like Titanfall 2 at 4K. At the end of the day, you will have a 4K gaming rig in your backpack. The 1080 is a beast, and they're not only just good cards, they're super future-proofed. You won't need to upgrade for a long time. That stacked on top of the i7 in here, you'll have a better laptop than your friends in half the size. The 1080 really brings this build full circle and powers through the 1080p threshold and into 4K. It's very cool, but it will run you a hefty $600. With that, my name is Enthusiast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. Like I said, I originally got the idea with a viewer on stream the other night, so it's really cool to see it made into a full video. So with that, my name is Enthusiast. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and like the video. Just a second, go down in the comments and tell me why you rated it like you did, and I'll see you guys in the next video.